ain't be so happy to change it that you up your life. You know how many celebrities went to Diddy's house thinking they was finna dance?
You give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never gonna be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there.
This isn't just another Diddy headline. This is two men blowing the lid off what Hollywood's been hiding in plain sight. One's a comedian who's been calling out the game for years, and the other's a movie star who's lived through it all and finally stopped biting his tongue. Katt Williams warned us. Terrence Howard survived it. For years, people labeled them as crazy, angry, or too difficult. But maybe the truth is, they just wouldn't play along. They refused the secret invitations, the after-hours gatherings, and the mansion rooms where the real price of fame gets decided behind locked doors. These whispers have been floating around for decades, passed between comedians backstage, traded like forbidden stories that no one dared say out loud. A-list parties where phones were banned, black SUVs rolling up at midnight, hidden rooms behind the ones everyone already thought were private.
I'm saying is, in business, nothing is coincidental, or you would be hearing who's losing money. In all of these situations, it's only the artist that's losing. Somebody makes big money. When these rappers get, not incidental. Somebody made $100 million and now don't have to talk to that artist or none of their crew, don't have to validate none of their contracts. Now only got to deal with the mama, only got to see her once a year, and it's over. And the money goes up and up and up. So they this $20 million guy, but they reaped $60 million in benefits.
Wow.
And they had some people from your city do it.
Wow.
I'm saying there's the good side and the bad side of these businesses.
Invitations that didn't always feel like a choice. For the longest time, they were just stories. Until Terrence Howard finally broke his silence. Then came March 2024, when federal agents stormed Diddy's mansions in LA and Miami. What they found shocked even the people who thought they'd heard it all. Full surveillance setups, piles of NDAs, and reportedly, over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Diddy's lawyer tried brushing it off, saying he just stocked up at Costco. But Costco themselves clapped back, denying ever selling that kind of bulk order. That strange detail rang a bell for fans of Katt Williams, who had been dropping those warnings for years. Some people laughed it off like it was another wild cat joke, but others knew better. For Katt, it was never just about one celebrity. It wasn't just Diddy. It was the whole system, a dark pattern stitched deep into Hollywood's fabric. When fame gets that high and power runs that deep, the rules don't bend, they disappear. And when the cameras go off, those exclusive parties become pressure cookers where control is the real currency and silence is the contract that keeps everyone trapped. In Hollywood, there's this shiny myth we all love to believe, that talent always wins, that hard work gets noticed, that the best person comes out on top. But behind those red carpets and smiles, there's a darker version of the truth. Sometimes the only way to move up is to say yes, and sometimes survival means having the guts to say no. Terrence Howard said no, not once, but every single time. Every time the industry came whispering with private offers or quiet invitations, he refused. He wouldn't fake the flirt. He wouldn't take those roles that didn't sit right with him, and he sure didn't sell his soul for a check. As the roles dried up and the headlines twisted his name, the silence from Hollywood got deafening. He turned down quick money, turned down comfort, safety, superstardom, everything that came with playing their game. Instead, he chose truth over peace, and that decision cost him more than missed paydays. What came next wasn't coincidence, it was targeted. Negative press hits, late-night mugshots, rumors cooked up just to break his credibility and make him look crazy. When you speak up once, they try to quiet you. But when you keep speaking after they try to bury you, that's when they start fighting dirty. These men didn't just say no to a few sketchy parties, they said no to a powerful machine. And in Hollywood, Defiance like that always comes with a price. It's easy for people to laugh when Katt Williams goes wild on stage, cracking jokes that sound too outrageous to be real. It's easy to say he's exaggerating, just another comedian going off script. But when the news starts matching the punchlines, suddenly those jokes don't sound so funny anymore. They start feeling like warnings we brushed off too quickly. Because Katt's not just talking about parties or personal choices, he's exposing a system built on silence, secrecy, and submission. A world where power isn't just shown off, it's performed, almost like a ritual. When Diddy's homes were raided in 2024, the headlines focused on the wild details, the baby oil, the NDAs, the surveillance cameras. But Katt saw something else, a whole chessboard at play. He saw how one powerful figure getting cornered could be used to scare or control everyone else connected to him. That's not a joke anymore. That's a confession wrapped in comedy. And it's never just about baby oil. It's about how normal behavior gets weaponized, how innocence becomes camouflage, how this game tricks you into thinking you're just networking, when really, you're walking straight into a setup. These aren't random scandals or eccentric habits. They're patterns, rituals, built into the foundation. And once you start recognizing them, you can't unsee them. You flip the pawns to trap the king, or sometimes flip the king to expose the rest. Because in Katt's world, that's not speculation, that's strategy. In most industries, when someone blows the whistle on corruption, they get protection. But in Hollywood, they get erased, labeled as bitter, unstable, or problematic. Not because they're lying, but because the truth cracks the illusion wide open, and nobody in that system wants the illusion broken. As Katt once joked, they put the DS in the baby oil. Williams added, you think you're getting a massage. B, you can't even get up. That's why God gave me eczema. It sounded like a wild punchline, but deep down, maybe that joke wasn't just about laughter. It was a coded warning hidden in plain sight. That line sounds funny at first, but it hits different now, because it's not just a joke anymore. It's a confession hiding inside a punchline. And it's not really about baby oil at all. It's about how normal gets twisted, how innocence turns into a disguise, and how the game plays you while you think you're just networking. These aren't one-off stories or quirky rumors. They're patterns, rituals, and once you spot them, you can't ever unsee them. People who've worked around these circles say it's all part of a system, a quiet initiation dressed up as exclusive access and career opportunities. One insider spilled it straight. You don't get in the room unless you know how to shut up about what you saw last time you were in the room. Another person close to the ongoing investigations added, there's a reason NDAs get handed out before the drinks, not after. In most industries, professionalism keeps you in the door. But in Hollywood, it's obedience that buys your pass. Multiple insiders, from assistants to security guards and event planners, say humiliation isn't an accident, it's curated. Because once they can make you give up your dignity, they know they own your silence forever. That's not a conspiracy, that's control. And when someone dares to say no, they're not just turning down a party, they're saying no to the machine. But let's be real, not everyone had the courage to say no. Back in 2013, Kevin Hart hit the Saturday Night Live stage in a bright wig, heels, and a dress. It was framed as just another comedy bit, another skit for laughs. But after that night, something shifted big time. Suddenly, Kevin wasn't just famous, he became a global brand. His movies took off, his Netflix deals stacked up, and overnight, he was officially safe for the system. Meanwhile, Katt Williams, who had the streets, the crowd, the raw talent, started disappearing in real time. Not because he wasn't funny or successful, but because he said no. No to the dress, no to the rituals, no to the unspoken contract that keeps everyone quiet. He didn't just lose roles, he lost momentum. And once Hollywood realized he wouldn't play along, they flipped the script on him fast. Suddenly, he was the unstable one, the troublemaker, the guy no one wanted to work with. The rumors spread faster than the truth ever could. And behind all that noise, he carried the weight of secrets he was never meant to expose. Kevin Hart wasn't the only one who said yes in Hollywood, but saying yes isn't just about roles or outfits. It's about joining the inner circle, the one behind the curtain, where power is traded through favors, secrets, and silence. Everybody wants to reach the top, But nobody climbs that ladder without going through a ritual first. On the surface, it all looks polished, rich, famous, clean cut. But behind that gloss, it's about submission, not skill. Katt has said it before. It's not even about race, it's about loyalty. It's not about skin color, he said. It's about who you bow to. There's a cabal, a quiet network that chooses who gets to shine and who gets shut out. If you refuse to play their game, it doesn't matter how talented you are. You'll stay locked outside those golden gates forever. When Katt tried to pull the curtain back, they didn't thank him. They blacklisted him. They mocked him on TV, kept his name in messy headlines, and behind closed doors, made sure his phone stopped ringing. Out in public, he was painted as just another angry comedian. But in private, the industry insiders knew. He didn't sell out. And in Hollywood, that's not a badge of honor. That's a threat. Katt's not vague about it either. He says there are real alliances, secret circles that protect their own and freeze out anyone who refuses to bend. And the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. According to people who've been near that level, sacrifice isn't optional. It's part of the system. Sometimes they take your integrity, sometimes your silence. And sometimes it's something you don't even understand until it's already gone. Somewhere along the line, the deal gets made. The dress goes on, the NDA gets signed, the door closes, and when it opens again, they walk out with everything they ever dreamed of. Fame, power, money. But nobody talks about what happens when the industry's done with you, when the cost of that deal finally comes knocking. Terrence Howard didn't name names to stir drama. He spoke like a man who's seen what people trade just to step through that door, and what they lose once they're inside. It's not just roles they give up. It's their pride, their peace, their manhood, their sense of who they are. Once you cross that line and give away the part of yourself you swore was untouchable, you can't pretend it never happened. The machine doesn't give. It takes piece by piece until there's nothing left to protect. That's where the breakdown starts. Take Justin Bieber. He's not just a superstar. He's one of the machine's biggest products. But you can see the cracks. The breakdowns, the burnouts, the breakdowns on stage, the meltdowns in interviews. It's been showing for years. Terrence wasn't just guessing, he was calling it out. These aren't spoiled celebrities losing control. These are people trying to forget the price they had to pay to stay relevant. Some turn to therapy, some turn to substances, and some never make it back from the edge at all. When you really start hearing these stories, the ones buried under years of silence, scandal, and spin, it becomes clear that the real danger isn't just the system itself. It's how easily we ignore the people who tried to warn us about it. Katt Williams got laughed at, mocked, turned into memes, called crazy for years. Terrence Howard got pushed aside, labeled difficult, bitter, and hard to work with. And now that the dust is starting to settle, it's getting harder and harder to deny. They weren't ranting, they were ringing alarms. The industry they both walked away from hasn't changed. It still rewards obedience, punishes truth, and thrives on silence. But that silence, it's finally starting to crack. Whether it's through a podcast, a tell-all interview, or something even bigger. When these two decide to drop everything they've seen and tell it all, no filters, no handlers, no networks to clean it up, that'll be the day the machine starts to shake. Because once the truth hits the air raw and uncut, Hollywood won't be able to hide behind its spotlight anymore. When that day finally comes, when the silence breaks for real, it won't just shake careers, it'll shake the foundation of Hollywood itself. Because once the truth starts pouring out, the stories won't stop at Diddy or Terrence or Katt. They'll reach corners of the industry people swore were untouchable. You'll start to see the pattern clear as daylight. Who climbed fast, who disappeared suddenly, who switched up after the invite. There's a reason certain names never fade and others vanish overnight. It's not luck, it's leverage. Once the system gives you everything, it expects loyalty. Total, unquestioned loyalty. And when you step out of line, the same hands that lifted you will flip the switch and shut you down just as fast. One insider said, "They build you to break you. It's part of the plan." That's how the cycle stays alive. Hollywood doesn't just create stars, it manufactures myths. The perfect smiles, the redemption arcs, the comebacks after public meltdowns, all choreographed to keep the machine running smooth. But when you start seeing the strings, it's impossible to believe the act. You start realizing fame isn't the reward, it's the trap. Look at the ones who escaped, the ones who walked away and never looked back. Some found peace far from the lights, while others disappeared so quietly you almost forgot they existed. But behind every vanished face is the same story. Someone who refused to bend, someone who saw too much and said too little. And still, Katt Williams keeps talking. He's been dropping hints for years, not just jokes, but warnings wrapped in laughter. "They want your laughter, not your truth," he said in one interview, and it stuck. Because that's exactly how the game works. The louder you make them laugh, the less they think you're serious. But now, people are starting to rewind those old clips, listen closer, and realize he'd been telling the truth the whole time. Terrence too carries that same fire. He's not chasing roles anymore. He's chasing redemption. Because once you've seen what the price of fame really costs, it's not about money or cameras. It's about reclaiming your soul. And that's something the machine can't fake. Right now, the system is nervous. Insiders say the walls are cracking. The old secrets aren't holding the same way they used to. Too many voices, too many leaks, too many people tired of watching friends burn out for the sake of a lie. The illusion is fading fast, and the audience is finally ready to see what's been hiding behind the curtain all along. When Katt and Terrence finally speak without fear, when they connect the dots the world's been ignoring, it won't just be gossip anymore. It'll be history unfolding in real time. Because every empire built on silence eventually faces the sound of truth. And this time, that sound is getting louder by the day. When the truth finally hits the surface, it won't come quietly. It'll roar through the headlines like thunder. People will scramble to deny, distract, or delete. But once it's out there, you can't rewind it. Because this isn't just a few celebrities caught up in rumors. This is decades of manipulation, power games, and whispered deals all unraveling at once. The moment those two, Katt Williams and Terrence Howard, drop everything they know, the ripple effect will be unstoppable. Suddenly, all those old interviews, the awkward red carpet moments, the random breakdowns will start to look different. What used to be brushed off as drama will start to look like evidence, clues we ignored because the truth felt too dark to believe. Hollywood has spent years building its own religion, where fame is worshipped and silence is sacred. The red carpets are altars, the award shows are ceremonies, and the biggest sin is telling the truth. But that illusion is cracking. The smoke and mirrors can't hide what's been hiding behind the glamour. The broken souls, the traded favors, the price of staying relevant. Sources close to the scene say more people are ready to speak up. Former assistants, stylists, party planners, the people who saw what really goes down after the cameras shut off. They're tired of the fear, tired of watching people crumble while the powerful stay protected. One ex-security guard reportedly said, "They call it show business, but the real show starts when the business stops." And that line right there, that's the truth they never wanted out. Because behind every famous name, there's a contract nobody talks about. Not the one you sign with your hand, the one you sign with your silence. You give the machine what it wants, and in return, you get the illusion of control. But control is the biggest lie they sell. Once you're inside, you don't own your fame. They do. And when you stop being useful, they pull the plug, rewrite your story, and turn you into a cautionary tale. Katt saw it early. He said it plain. They don't want truth tellers in a room full of liars. And now more people are starting to realize he was right all along. His comedy was never just about laughs. It was coded. It was rebellion wrapped in rhythm. Terrence too has reached the point where he doesn't want validation. He wants vindication. This next wave isn't about scandal. It's about revelation. Because when truth and power collide, the system doesn't just shake, it shatters. And when that happens, every secret room, every NDA, every ritual masked as networking will be exposed for what it really is: control through corruption. The people at the top know it's coming. You can see it in their interviews, the nervous smiles, the sudden retreats from the spotlight. They can feel the walls closing in, and for once, the silence doesn't protect them anymore. Because when enough voices rise at once, not even the machine can drown them out. And maybe that's what this moment really is. The start of the great unmasking, The day when Hollywood's brightest lights stop blinding people and finally start exposing the shadows they've been hiding in for too long. When the mask finally slips, the real Hollywood won't look like the dream we grew up watching. It'll look like the deal nobody warned us about. The lights, the awards, the friendships, all props in a bigger performance. Because the truth is, the entertainment industry isn't built on talent, it's built on control. You don't just audition for a role, you audition for access, and once they give it to you, they own the script to your life. For years, people have whispered about it. Secret circles, strange parties, unspoken rules. But now, the whispers are turning into receipts. Emails, messages, recordings. Proof that what people laughed off as crazy might not have been so crazy after all. One former producer said in confidence, "Everything you think is random, who wins, who gets canceled, who disappears, none of it's random." That's the kind of truth that makes the machine panic. Katt Williams has been trying to tell us this for over a decade, not in tabloids, but in punchlines. He used comedy as armor because it's the only way you can speak truth in a world built on performance. Every time they called him unstable, he got sharper, bolder, more dangerous, because he knew something most people didn't. When you expose the game exposes you. And Terrence Howard? He's become the calm voice in the chaos. He's not throwing accusations. He's speaking from experience. Every pause, every word carries weight, like a man who's seen the cost up close. You can hear it when he says, "They can't buy me." It's not just defiance, it's freedom. Because once you stop chasing their approval, they can't use it to control you anymore. Insiders say the industry is getting nervous. Executives are staying quiet, publicists are working overtime, and social media managers are deleting old posts at lightning speed. The timing isn't coincidence, it's damage control. They can feel the tension building, the storm about to break. Because here's the truth they don't want to face. Once the people stop believing in the illusion dies. When the curtain finally drops and the audience sees the machine for what it really is, the power shifts instantly. No more blind loyalty, no more silent suffering, just raw truth laid bare for everyone to see. The question isn't if it's going to happen, it's when. And when it does, every story they buried, every voice they silenced, every career they destroyed will come rushing back to the surface. Hollywood's not ready for that reckoning, but it's coming, fast. Katt once said, "You can fake fame, but you can't fake truth." And that line hits harder now than ever before. Because no matter how big the lie, the truth always finds a microphone. And when it does, no agent, no studio, no powerful circle can stop it. The walls that kept the secrets locked up for so long are finally starting to crack. And this time, no one's laughing it off. Because what's coming next isn't just gossip, it's justice in real time. When justice finally steps onto the stage, it won't come wearing a badge or holding a script. It'll come through truth tellers who've had enough of pretending. The same people they silenced are now the ones pulling back the curtain. And once that curtain drops, there's no going back. Because for every story that made the headlines, there are hundreds that never saw daylight. Contracts signed in fear, favors exchanged in silence, and talent buried because it refused to bow down. Insiders are already saying the shift has started. The calls are happening quietly. Journalists reaching out, lawyers getting ready, networks scrubbing archives. Everyone can feel it, that uneasy energy before the storm. They've spent years protecting the illusion, but the illusion's starting to break under the weight of its own lies. The machine's losing control, and the people who built it are realizing their power doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Katt Williams was never meant to survive the machine, and yet here he is, louder than ever. Every time they tried to bury him, he came back sharper, funnier, and more fearless. Because his comedy isn't just jokes, it's evidence. His laughter cuts through the noise, forcing people to listen even when they don't want to. "They can't cancel what the people already know is true," he once said. And that's exactly why he's still standing. Terrence Howard, on the other hand, represents the aftermath. What happens when you walk away knowing too much? He's not chasing the spotlight anymore. He's guarding his peace. You can hear the exhaustion in his tone, but also the strength. When he talks about what Hollywood does to people, it doesn't sound bitter. It sounds like testimony, because he's not speculating. He lived it. And now, more voices are joining in. Former assistants, artists, even security staff are quietly confirming the same stories. Different faces, same patterns. The secret rooms, the midnight meetings, the contracts nobody questions until it's too late. This isn't paranoia. It's the playbook. For years, people called it just business, but business doesn't require your soul to stay afloat. The cracks are showing everywhere. Ratings are dropping, fans are waking up, and the internet, the one thing Hollywood never fully controlled, is doing what it does best, connecting the dots. Every clip, every old interview, every weird moment is being rewatched with fresh eyes, and suddenly the puzzle makes sense. This isn't a takedown, it's a transformation. The industry that fed off secrets is being forced into transparency, and the truth is louder than the PR machine ever was. Because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Once you see it, you can't look away. So maybe this is the moment everything flips, when the whispers become proof, when laughter turns into liberation, and when the same stage that hid the lies becomes the one that finally exposes them. Because no matter how powerful the machine seems, it only works as long as people stay quiet. And that silence? It's breaking apart, piece by piece, faster than anyone expected. The silence isn't holding anymore. It's cracking like glass under pressure, and every fracture is letting truth leak out. The same Hollywood that once looked untouchable is now trembling under its own spotlight. Those who thought they were too powerful to be exposed are watching their stories get rewritten in real time, not by studios or journalists, but by the people who were once too afraid to speak. Insiders are whispering that the phone calls have turned frantic. Managers warning clients to stay offline, lawyers prepping statements, and old friends suddenly unavailable. The air in Los Angeles feels heavy, like everyone's waiting for the next bombshell to drop. Because once the truth starts rolling, it doesn't stop. It spreads, connects, and reveals. Katt Williams predicted this wave years ago. He said the machine would eventually eat itself, and that moment might finally be here. They built the lie too big, he once said. Now it's collapsing under its own weight. He's still performing, still speaking, and still fearless. But now, people are actually listening. His words, once brushed off as wild comedy, are being played back like evidence from a prophecy we ignored. Terrence Howard has become the quiet storm. No screaming, no drama, just truth that hits like thunder. When he speaks about what fame does to the soul, it's not gossip, it's survival. He's seen how the machine uses pain as currency, trading dignity for exposure, and the cost is always higher than the check that comes with it. The moment you say no, he said, you stop being valuable to them. You start being dangerous. That one sentence shook people because it wasn't metaphor, it was a warning. And this warning is echoing louder now. The public's no longer satisfied with PR statements or rehearsed apologies. People want truth, raw, uncomfortable, unfiltered. They're connecting the dots, the breakdowns, the disappearances, the sudden rehab stories. All part of the same pattern. What looked like chaos might have been the system showing its cracks all along. Behind the scenes, networks are panicking. Executives are trying to distance themselves from the names at the center of it all, while others are quietly deleting photos, texts, entire histories. But the internet doesn't forget, and fans, investigators, and even former insiders are archiving everything before it disappears. The tides are shifting, and the empire is starting to crumble from the inside out. The illusion that held for decades, that perfect smile, that polished press tour, that carefully controlled narrative, it's all unraveling. And when it finally falls apart, the world will see that the truth was always right there, hiding in plain sight. Katt and Terrence lit the match, and now the fire's spreading. The question isn't who gets burned, but who has the courage to stand in the flames and tell the truth while everything else turns to ash. Because the system only works when people stay quiet. And that silence, it's officially over. The lights are still bright, but the masks are slipping fast. Hollywood's biggest performance is ending, and this time, the audience isn't clapping. They're watching. And now, we've reached the part that Hollywood fears most, the ending they can't control. The cameras can't cut, the editors can't twist it, and the scriptwriters can't rewrite what's already unfolding. Because this isn't just another expose. This This is the start of accountability, the kind that doesn't fade once the credits roll. For decades, the industry sold us dreams, red carpets, flashing lights, power wrapped in luxury. But behind the silk curtains and designer suits, there's always been a darker exchange, one that traded truth for control and silence for success. Those who refused to play got erased, those who obeyed got rewarded. But now, that entire cycle is catching up to itself. Katt Williams warned us through laughter. Terrence Howard confirmed it through experience. Two men from different corners of the same system, both risking everything to speak what others only dared whisper. They've been mocked, labeled, and pushed aside, but now their words hit harder than ever. Because when you strip away the glamour, what's left isn't fame. It's a factory built on people's pain. And that factory's starting to collapse. The public's waking up, and the old tricks aren't working anymore. The same audience that once cheered the illusion is now demanding receipts, proof, and accountability. Every hidden story, every silenced voice, every unexplained disappearance, it's all coming back like echoes that refuse to fade. The question now isn't who's guilty, it's who's brave enough to keep telling the truth when the lights go out. Because once the cameras stop rolling, that's when the real show begins. The PR teams can spin, the studios can deny, but truth has a rhythm of its own, and it always finds its beat. Hollywood's perfect image is cracking wide open, and no matter how much money or power gets thrown at it, those cracks are only getting wider. The illusion that used to run the world is losing its grip, and what's left underneath is raw, uncomfortable, real. So, when the next headline drops and the next secret surfaces, remember, this isn't just chaos, it's revelation. The silence that protected the powerful is gone, and the people who once stood in the shadows are stepping into the light, unfiltered, unedited, unstoppable. Because you can hide a secret, but you can't hide the truth forever. And now, the truth has a microphone, an audience, and a voice that won't be silenced again. This isn't the end of the story. It's the start of a new one. The one where the machine finally gets held accountable, where the ones who were mocked become the messengers, and where every whispered warning finally turns into a roar the whole world can hear. Hollywood wanted a performance, but what it's getting instead is the truth. And that's where we'll leave it for now, because this story, it's far from over. The cracks in the machine are only getting bigger, and the truth is spreading faster than they ever expected. Every week, more pieces fall into place, and the picture of what's really been happening behind those Hollywood gates keeps getting clearer. So if you've made it this far, you already know what time it is. This isn't just gossip, it's a movement. The stories they tried to hide are finally being told, and we're going to keep pulling back the curtain until every lie gets exposed. If you want to stay ahead of what's coming next, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't just watch the story unfold, be part of it. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next drop, because the next chapter might be the one that changes everything. Drop a comment below. Whose story do you think is about to break next? What truth do you think Hollywood's still trying to bury? Let's talk about it, because the conversation doesn't end here. It's just getting started. And remember, fame fades, lies crumble, but truth always finds the light. So until next time, stay sharp, stay watching, and stay ready, because the machine's shaking and we're just getting started. Subscribe, like, and share this video if you want more deep dives like this. You already know, the truth sounds different when it's finally free.